All right, note 2.7. We are going to be solving proportions with the distributive property. So in the previous lesson, we solved proportions, set up equations from them. Now we're going to have proportions with equations, but the distributive property is going to be included. So again, a combination of what did you learn before, what have we done with equations, two-step solving, three-step solving, and proportions. We're going to have to combine it all together. Here is what a proportion will look like when we do need the distributive property. It's 2 over x minus 6 equals 3 over x. I'm looking at this to see if you guys can see it pretty good. I don't know, I was trying it without a light so that there wasn't as big of a glare, but it might be tougher to see. That might help be a little bit better. I know that glare from the light bulb is still up there, but at least maybe you can see the problem better. So in solving proportions by making an equation, remember we cross-multiplied, but there was always only a single term underneath here. Now we have two terms. We have the x and minus 6. So what this looks like, again, I'll remind you, it doesn't matter which direction you go first. Are you going to go this way? Are you going to go this way? So I will, like I said, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to go this way first and cross-multiply. That'll be 2x. When cross-multiplying, always keep that equal sign in between. And when I cross-multiply this way, before I can cross-multiply, if you have more than a single term right here, you've got to put parentheses around it. And we've talked about that even when we did evaluating expressions in a calculator. We put that in parentheses when we put it in a calculator. It needs to be in parentheses whether it's in the numerator or the denominator, doesn't matter. More than one term, group it together. So now when we cross-multiply like this, it looks more like an equation that needs the distributive property. You can't just take the 3 times the x or just take the 3 times 6 and get 18. You have got to use the entire denominator. From here, now it's just a 3-step solving equation. And when I say just a 3-step solving, I know it takes a little bit of time, but you guys have done this before. You've already practiced and hopefully gotten pretty good at the distributive property and 3-step solving. Also, we've got variables on both sides, so we'll work on that. Distribute, it's 3x minus 18. Over here, the 2x stays as it was, and we just simplify this side. 3x minus 18. As you can see, variables on both sides of the equation, and we have forever and always been taking the x's and moving them over to the left side of the equation. Because this is a positive 3x, you've got to subtract 3x from it. 3x minus 3x is gone, minus 3x over here on this side. 2x's minus 3x's, use your calculator if you need to, is negative 1x, which equals negative 18. Okay, I just did this last step the long way, showing 2 minus 3 is negative 1, which then causes you another step of dividing by negative 1. So your final step, your final answer is x equals positive 18 because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Still, you will answer x equals. It was an equation. Even though it was proportion, it still had an equal sign. This whole thing is an equation. You answer it with x equals, not just 18. Okay, as I said, I caused an extra step here. What you could have done instead is just taken 2 minus 3 is negative x. You don't have to put the 1 in front of it. Most people don't once they're in algebra and beyond. Negative x equals negative 18, or the opposite of x is the opposite of 18, so a positive x is positive 18. Just change both signs. Either way is fine with me. This is the way you'll see it more often from me. All right, let's try another problem. Go ahead and take the time, set it up. 4w over w minus 3 equals 2 over 3, or equals 2/3. We're trying to make equivalent ratios, and the first thing you're going to do right away is put parentheses around the w minus 3. You don't have to put parentheses around the 4w because there's no addition or subtraction in there. That doesn't need the distributive property. We can still just cross-multiply, get 12w. No distributing there. 3 times 4 is 12. But when you cross-multiply this way, it's 2 parentheses w minus 3. From here, the process is going to look exactly the same. We distributed, subtracted, divided. We're going to distribute, subtract, or add, and divide. Distribute first. You're left with 12W equals 2W minus 6. Don't forget to take the 2 away over there. We've got to get our like terms together. We can't have W's on both sides of the equation, and we are always putting the W's. By subtraction, that's a positive 2. You need a negative 2. Negative 2W. 12W minus 2W is 10W. Drop down the negative 6. Some of you foresee what's going to happen already. It's okay. It's not wrong. This is gone, so you're left with W over here. You're not okay leaving it as negative 6/10. But you're also not okay, let me get a calculator. You're also not okay leaving it as decimal. You can't put it in your calculator and get negative 0.6. We will always answer these equations as fractions. It can be reduced. Reminder on how to do that. If you put in negative 6, hit your fraction button. There's negative 6, fraction button. Some of you have it on the other side. Negative 6/10. Hit equals. It will reduce it for you just to save any common errors. So our answer is W equals negative 3/5. Let's try one more like that before we do a double. I think we have a double distributive coming up. Yep. We'll do one more like this first. Go ahead and write it down. 7 over x minus 7 equals negative 6 over x. First things first, put parentheses around it. What if you cross multiplied the other way? We could cross multiply the other way. Let's just try it. Negative 6x plus 42. Oh, what am I doing? I was trying to do a step in my head. Negative 6 parentheses x minus 7 in parentheses. Cross multiply this way, you get equals 7x. We're going to distribute first, even though that's on the left side. Distribute always happens first. Negative 6x, be careful, a negative times a negative is a positive 42. You have to use both negatives. You can't just drop down the subtraction sign. Equals 7x. Now we have continuously with all equations, we kept putting x's over there, variables over there. Move the variables to the left. Let's give them to the left. Well, if we move this variable over to the left this time, we're not going to have anything left over here. It's going to be empty. You could still solve it, but it would take an extra step. If we want to shorten our steps, let's get our x's over here on this side of the equation. As I told you before, it's not wrong to put it on the other side of the equation. I'm just trying to stay consistent and keep everything the same. 42 equals 7x minus 6x is 1x. Don't put that 1 in front of the x. Saves you a step, you're already done. 42 equals x. And it's okay to leave it as 42 equals x. You don't have to plug it in. Want to check your answer? Because I tell you that you have to check your answers all the time. Okay, get used to it. If you put in a 42 right here, find out what 42 minus 7 is, you get 35. 42 minus 7 equals 35. So the fraction up there would be 7 fraction 35. Hit equals 1/5. So this fraction on this side, this ratio reduces to 1/5. What happens when you put 42 down here? Watch. I get negative 6 fraction 42 equals negative 1/7. (42 minus 7 equals 35. 7 over 35 is 1/5. So there is a mistake here somewhere. Let's find it. Oh, look at what I did right here. That's why we check our answers. Go back. You probably already saw it and you were like, what are you doing? Right here I put plus 6x. And then right here for some crazy reason I put minus 6x. That should be a plus 6x. I'm going to back this up. If you did it right, good job. Feel good about that. Hopefully you didn't change it and try to match mine. 7x plus 6x is 13x. Take 13, divide it. 42 divided by 13 is 3, I think. See, now I'm going to double check. Divided by 13 equals, that doesn't work either. 42 divided by 13, I'm going to have to do that as a fraction. 42, fraction, 13. 3 and 3/13. Hit second fraction. 42 over 13. 42 over 13 remains your answer. 42 over 13 equals x. That gets a little bit tougher to plug in and check your answers, but it's still doable. Why don't you pause it right now, and I will get it in the calculator and show you what it is. And there's the bell. Okay, when I plug it in, as you can see here, I put -6 over, or divided by, 42/13, and I got -1 6/7. When I did it on the other side, 7 divided by 42/13 minus 7. I know, it looks cumbersome, it looks weird, but I still got -1 6/7. So it's a good thing we checked our answer the first time, but as you see, you can still check your answers when they're fractions. All right, take a look at this problem. Write it down. 3/4 or 3 over 4 equals n plus 5 over n minus 4. We've got a double distributive property here. Both the numerator and the denominator need the parentheses. You can't just do it to one or the other. Cross multiply in either direction. I'm going to go this way. And you get 3n in parentheses minus 4 equals 4 in parentheses times n plus 5. Distribute the 3. 3n minus 12 equals 4n, distribute the 4, plus 20. So it takes a little bit more time, but not really, because you can do both distributive properties in one step. Now we're just trying to get the variable on both sides, on the same side of the equation, get the numbers on the other. I'm going to minus 4n over to my 3n, just because it's the way we've continually and consistently done this. You have negative n. Talked about this before. I'm not putting the 1 there. Minus 12 equals 20. Add 12 to both sides. And you have the opposite of n equals 32. If the opposite of n equals 32, then n must equal -32. So your final answer is n equals -32. You can check your answer on this one if you want. Take the -32 and plug it in up here. -32 plus 5 is -27. -32 minus 6 is -36. A negative divided by a positive, or negative divided by a negative is a negative, and you get a positive 3/4. Exactly what you have there. You know, I don't know if we have to do one more. You could try it if you wanted to, but it's the same idea. You're going to cross multiply and have a double distributive property. 3 times 5n minus 2 equals, whoops, I forgot, put my parentheses first, 8 times n plus 8. And then go ahead through and solve that one if you want to. But the setup is what we're working on, because this process we already did in section 2.5. So it should just be review from there on. All right, pause the video. Maybe you don't have to write down everything, but you know what? Yeah, go ahead and write this down. Pause the video. Write down all the important pieces you need, and we'll be right back. Okay, so as you look at this, it's talking about a blueprint of an office building. If you don't know what a blueprint is, it's basically the whole thing all drawn out. So for every 2 inches that you see on the blueprint, they're actually going to build 15 feet. A completed scale model of the building is about 14.5 inches tall. Estimate the actual height of the building, office building. Before we do that, I'm going to go through. No need to write this down, please. Don't write this down. Just follow along. I'm just going to touch on some vocabulary. If you're asked about a scale drawing, it's a 2-dimensional drawing of an object in which the dimension of the drawings are in proportion to the dimensions of the object. I don't know if you've ever seen a blueprint of your house or a scale drawing of your house. You don't actually build the house out of Legos and give it to the contractor. Everything is all drawn out on paper. Paper is 2-dimensional. But then when they actually build it, they build it 3-dimensional. And like it says, everything is in proportion. If they do 1 inch on the paper, maybe that means 10 feet of your building. So that's a scale drawing. Difference between that and a scale model is that a scale model is actually a 3-dimensional model. That would be if they said, here's what your house is going to look like. We're going to build it out of little tiny supplies and make a house this big. Or you've seen model cars, maybe. Maybe you haven't. But where you build a car, but the car is only this big, but it's exactly to scale from what a real car is. That's 3-dimensional. You actually have built it. You've just built it smaller. And then the other thing that you want to know is just the word scale. The word scale relates to the drawing or the model. Doesn't matter if it's 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional, to the dimensions and the actual dimensions. So when they say, again, draw this to scale, okay? I know that a basketball court has 15 feet from the rim to the free throw line, that's 15 feet. So if I want to draw that to scale, I would have to say this is 15 feet, so I guess every 3 inches is a foot, and then that would be drawn to scale. That's what it means by scale. Okay, so back to this. Of course, there's a word problem, but the word problem is in direct relation to what we've been working on, and what we've been working on is proportions. So know that because we're working with proportions, that's probably what you're looking for here. Has a scale of 2 inches, every 2 inches, and I'm going to label it so we keep it all in order, for every 15 feet. A completed scale model of the building is about 14.5 inches tall. And the reason why we're labeling it is to make sure that you put the 14.5 inches on the top of your proportion so that it adds up, so that it lines up. Estimate the actual height of the building. Well, the building is going to be measured in feet, so we're looking for X amount of feet. This doesn't have the distributive property in it like our homework did, but it's still a proportion, and you still solve by cross multiplying. When you cross multiply, you don't need to put the units in there. It's just 2x. Cross multiply this way, 15 times 14.5 is 217.5. Finish up by dividing by 2. Make sure that this makes sense. How tall is the actual, it does say office building, so it could be a Willis Tower or it could be really huge. If I take 217.5 and divide it by 2, I get 108.75. And reminder, this is not your answer. This is the answer to an equation, but we made our own equation. There wasn't an equation in the problem. The original problem, it says, estimate the actual height of the office building. If you want to estimate this, you can actually say that the office building is 109 feet. It's very, very close to 109 feet. If you answered it 108.75 feet, I'd be okay with that, but this answers the question better of estimated. It's about 109 feet. And if every story is roughly 10 feet, per story, that's about an 11-story building. That's totally feasible. Makes sense. So you may have a word problem or two that deals with proportions, but remember the rest of these, they'll all be turning proportions into an equation. So hopefully you're getting pretty good at solving equations because we keep doing them over and over and over, and you will in geometry and again in algebra too. So keep putting all of your x's on one side of the equation, all of your numbers on the other side of the equation, and keep everything balanced. Are you sick of me saying that yet? Not yet. I hope it's drilled in your head. All right, bye.